and a very warm welcome. I am Grishin Galan and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. We begin with India. Indian security forces have engaged terrorists in central Kashmir's Srinagar district. As per the army, 3 foreign terrorists have been neutralised in an intense fight. According to the Indian Army, a contact had been established with the terrorists and the operation continues to remain underway. The encounter began after a joint team comprising the Army, Police and CRPF launched a search operation following suspected terrorist movement in the area. Peace negotiations between the leaders of Thailand and Cambodia is underway in Malaysia. These talks aim at securing a ceasefire following a deadly border clash in May and days of hostilities between the two neighbours. The talks, hosted by Malaysia in its capacity as ASEAN chair, have been co-organised with the United States and include a Chinese delegation. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that American State Department officials are on the ground to assist the mediation process. The United States and the European Union have reached a major trade agreement. As part of the deal, the US will impose 15% tariff on EU goods entering America. In return, the European Union has agreed to purchase $750 billion worth of US energy and invest an additional $600 billion into the American economy. Prior to the deal, the European Union was set to face 30% tariff from 1st of August. US President Donald Trump will host British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Scotland for bilateral talks. Discussions are expected to cover the newly signed US-EU trade agreement as well as the escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The two leaders are expected to travel from the West Coast resort to Trump's other estate near Aberdeen in eastern Scotland. Top American and Chinese economic officials are meeting in Stockholm today to continue negotiations aimed at diffusing trade tensions and extending the current truce by 90 days. The talks come ahead of an August 12 deadline for China to secure a lasting tariff agreement with the Trump administration or face the reinstatement of severe US import duties. Trade experts suggest a temporary extension of the truce reached in May remains likely. China's top Buddhist authority announced that Shi Yongxin, the head of the Shaolin Temple, will be disobeyed by what it called extremely bad conduct. The temple is revered as the birthplace of Kung Fu. The Buddhist Association of China said it would revoke his certificate of ordination after multiple allegations emerged, including embezzlement of temple funds and engaging in inappropriate relationships with several women. Israel announced that more than 120 truckloads of food aid were distributed throughout the Gaza Strip. This was done by the United Nations and international humanitarian agencies. The aid delivery followed a tactical pause in military operations declared on Sunday, aimed at allowing secure passage for relief supplies. The Israeli Defense Ministry urged humanitarian organizations to increase food distribution during the lull in fighting. Russia and Ukraine reported significant military activity over the weekend. Russia's Ministry of Defense claimed its forces had destroyed multiple Ukrainian supply facilities, including 16 ammunition depots, 7 electronic warfare stations, and 2 material warehouses across 146 targeted areas. Additionally, Russian air defenses reported shooting down 72 Ukrainian drones. Meanwhile, Ukraine's armed forces stated that 153 combat engagements occurred along the front lines in the past 24 hours. After decades, Russia and North Korea have started commercial flights between the two capitals. This comes at a time when North Korea is relaxing restrictions for foreign tourists to boost tourism. The first flight that landed in Pyongyang was operated by Russia's Nordwind Airlines. The flight also received a ceremonial welcome at Pyongyang's airport. Russia and North Korea also signed a mutual defense pact last year. North Korea reaffirmed its hostile stance towards South Korea, declaring that it still considers its neighbor the enemy. The remarks came from Kim Yo-jong, the influential sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, in a statement published by the Korean Central News Agency. Kim stated that Pyongyang has no interest in engaging in dialogue with the South, regardless of any proposals that may be presented. On to climate news now. In China, at least 4 people were killed and 8 went missing after a landslide hit Hubei province on Monday. The landslide was triggered by unusually heavy rain. The worst hit were Beijing and Hubei province, where floods and landslides damaged villages and cut power. Meanwhile, Baoding in the Hubei province witnessed a year's worth of rain in just 8 hours on Sunday. Over 4,600 people have been evacuated from northern China amid heavy rains. Officials warned the rains would continue in upcoming days. In India, the Meteorological Department has issued a yellow alert for 15 districts in Odisha for Monday, after at least 600 people were affected by floods in 4 villages of Jajpur district in the state on July 27th. A major river in Odisha rose above the danger mark after days of heavy rain, although officials said the water level began to recede by Sunday evening. Rescue teams evacuated several families and supplied food. Wildfires continue to rage across Turkey amid a deadly heat wave. At least 6 fires burnt in multiple provinces, including Bursa on Monday. Over 3,600 people have been evacuated from at least 10 villages on July 27. In fact, 1 firefighter died while battling the flames. At least 1,000 firefighters and 500 rescue workers were deployed. The fires had already scorched over 3,000 hectares of land by Sunday. According to officials, strong winds and extreme heat made containment even harder. And neighbouring country Greece also struggled to contain wildfires as extreme heat reached over 42 degrees Celsius on Sunday. At least 5 major fires burnt on July 27 in central and southern Greece. Over 100 firefighters were also deployed in the southern part, where 20% of the island was affected. According to officials, strong winds spread flames across villages, damaging homes and forests. Although officials added many fire fronts had been brought under control by late Sunday. Wildfires continue to wreak havoc in parts of Balkans as well. Strong winds and extreme heat fueled blazes in Albania and Bulgaria on Sunday. In Albania, south flames spread rapidly, prompting a Black Hawk helicopter deployment on July 27. Meanwhile, a massive forest fire destroyed half of a village in western Bulgaria. Authorities in both countries called the situation severe and deployed firefighters and helicopters to contain the damage. Officials warned that more hot and dry weather could worsen conditions in upcoming days. On to business and tech news now. Global shares rose earlier today as investors reacted to a US-EU trade deal that helped lift market confidence. The euro was trading firmer across the board, gaining against the dollar, the pound and the Japanese yen. S&P 500 and Nasdaq futures posted modest gains, while European futures surged by nearly 1%. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan was up nearly 0.3%. Oil prices edged higher earlier today after the US struck a trade deal with Europe and moved to extend a tariff truce with China. Brent crude futures and West Texas Intermediate rose slightly as markets welcomed a de-escalation in trade tensions and monitored fresh talks between Beijing and Washington and Stockholm. However, gains were capped by expectations that OPEC Plus would move ahead with its supply hike in August and by signs of a Venezuelan export resurgence. China's industrial profits fell by 4.3% in June compared to the same month last year, as low prices and weak demand continued to squeeze profit margins amid global trade uncertainty. First half profits dropped 1.8% year-on-year, with state-owned firms posting a 7.6% decline, while private companies reported a modest gain. Boeing workers who assemble fighter jets in St. Louis voted to reject the company's new contract offer on Sunday, setting the stage for a possible strike. The offer included a 20% wage increase over 4 years, a $5,000 bonus and more paid leave. Boeing said it was disappointed with the outcome and activated a contingency plan, as no further talks were scheduled with the union. Meanwhile, Bangladesh has agreed to buy 25 Boeing aircraft and boost US imports in a bid to avoid steep new tariffs from the Trump administration. Dhaka is now reportedly ramping up purchases of American wheat, soybean oil and cotton, hoping to reduce a $6 billion trade gap with Washington. This came as the garment industry, Bangladesh's biggest export sector, faces a 35% tariff spike if relations don't improve. China's Temu was reportedly struggling to rebuild its US retail businesses after the Trump administration removed duty-free imports from China, slashing monthly users by over 50%. A report suggested that the Chinese platform approached American sellers for support, but was allegedly told it could not undercut Amazon on branded products, limiting its strategy to offer cheaper alternatives. Tata Consultancy Services, or TCS, announced it was cutting over 12,000 jobs, affecting around 2% of its global workforce, mostly in middle and senior management roles. The company said it was redeploying staff amid a shift to AI and new operating models, but admitted that some roles could not be retained or reskilled. CEO K. Kirthivasan reportedly clarified that the move was not driven by AI productivity gains alone. Tesla CEO Elon Musk confirmed a $16.5 billion chip deal with South Korea's Samsung Electronics to supply next-generation AI chips through 2033. The chips will be produced at Samsung's Texas foundry, which Musk said would be dedicated to Tesla's new AI6 processors. Samsung shares rose over 4% earlier today as analysts said the deal could help offset heavy losses in its struggling chip manufacturing business. A new report suggested that British use of internet services that disguise a user's location surged after new age verification rules came into force in the UK, threatening to undermine government efforts to protect children online. The report said a leading virtual private network or VPN app saw an 18-fold spike in daily sign-ups as adult users tried to circumvent the new restrictions. The Trump administration said it would release findings from a national security probe into chip imports within 2 weeks, sparking fears of fresh tariffs. The White House linked the semiconductor inquiry to broader trade talks with Europe after Donald Trump and Ursula von der Leyen agreed on new duties. Moving to sports, we begin with chess. In an unprecedented All-India final at Women's World Cup, Divya Deshmukh pulled off a draw against compatriot Koneru Humpy in Game 2. The final has now progressed into tie breaks. The Rapid Blitz showdown will determine who amongst the two Indians will be crowned the world champion. In cricket, resilient India drew the fourth test against England in their 5-match series. Captain Shubman Gill scored his fourth century of the campaign. Ravindra Jadeja and Washington Sundar also made hundreds. India finished on 425 runs with 6 wickets remaining in the second innings and a lead of 114 runs. England remains 2-1 up in the 5-match contest. The series decider will begin in Oval late this week. India captain Shubman Gill suggests the team might consider Jasprit Bumrah's inclusion in the squad for the 5th match of the ongoing series. The India skipper added if Bumrah is fully fit, it would be a great deal for the team. Bumrah's back injury earlier this year led India to announce that he would only feature in 3 games of the England series. The top-ranked Test bowler has already made his 3rd appearance in the series. In football, England beat Spain 3-1 on penalties to win the Women's Euro 2025. The two sides finished 1-1 at the end of extra time. Spain failed to score 3 of their spot kicks, giving England the required winning edge. Meanwhile, England, with Chloe Kelly's decisive kick, retained their continental crown. England penalty hero Chloe Kelly was unable to hold back the tears after scoring the spot kick that sealed the continental win for the Lioness. The 27-year-old had earlier come off the bench late in the first half to head in her team's equaliser to teammate Alicia Russo. German champions Bayern Munich have reportedly agreed to sign Liverpool winger Luis Diaz in an $88 million deal. Diaz has reportedly been given permission to leave Liverpool's pre-season tour of Asia in order to complete the joining procedures with Bayern. In Formula One, we begin with the action from Belgian Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri held off McLaren teammate Lando Norris to win the Belgian Grand Prix. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc came 3rd as Piastri stretched his lead over Norris in the drivers' standings to 16 points. Heavy rain delayed 13th round of the season by 80 minutes, with organisers eventually allowing a rolling start after 4 laps behind the safety car. Multiple-time world champions Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton accused the race organisers of being overcautious during the rain-hit event. Verstappen said instead of briefly halting the event after one formation lap, authorities should have simply cleared the standing water to expedite the resumption of the race. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton said race organisers had overreacted by delaying the event. In tennis, Alex de Minaur saved 3 match points to win the women's single DC Open final 5-7, 6-1, 7-6. De Minaur beat Spain's Alejandro Davidovich Fokina to clinch the DC Open crown. Canada's Leila Fernandez beat Russia's Anna Kalinskaya in straight sets to win the women's singles title at DC Open. The 22-year-old bagged the first WTA 500 victory of her career and her first title since 2023 to win 6-1, 6-2 in just over an hour. And finally, in entertainment news, production for Dune Part 3 has officially commenced in Budapest, with returning cast members Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet joined by Anya Taylor-Joy. The trio is currently filming at Origo Film Studios, the same location used for the first 2 installments, the franchise. Meanwhile, Zendaya and Taylor-Joy were spotted exploring the Hungarian capital, with images circulating on social media showing the 2 actors smiling together during a break from shooting. Actor Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, widely known as his role as Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, was recently seen dining at Rameshwaram Cafe in India's Bengaluru city. The actor enjoyed a traditional South Indian meal. A video and photos of the visit quickly went viral on social media. The cafe later shared their excitement on Instagram, thanking the actor for visiting. Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four First Steps opened strongly at the global box office, generating $118 million from over 4,000 North American theaters over its debut weekend. The film earned an additional $100 million from international markets, bringing its global total to $218 million. The film stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby and Joseph Quinn as the iconic superhero team facing a cosmic threat. Singer and actor Jennifer Lopez experienced a wardrobe malfunction during a live performance in Warsaw over the weekend. The singer's skirt fell on stage amid a birthday surprise. Lopez laughed off the mishap and continued the show in good spirits. Addressing the crowd, she expressed gratitude to her teams and fans. A video of the incident has since been uploaded to her official YouTube channel. And rapper Drake has postponed his July 28 concert in Manchester due to unforeseen ferry schedule complications and travel logistics. The performance, initially set as final date in a trio of shows, has been rescheduled to August 5. Organisers have confirmed that all tickets will remain valid for the new date. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gushin Galan and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.